Previously on Meerkat Manor. Swift gave birth to her 15th litter, but faced a childcare crisis of her own making, having kicked out all her best nannies. Girk returned from his first roving trip to a welcome home smothering by Hakuna Matata, while his uncle Belphegor buddied up with Pixie for a boy's life of adventure. And the seasonal rain finally arrived, bringing with it hope of better times. Two months of rain have transformed the manor. What was once a dry and desperate landscape is now an Eden rich with possibility. But this new green Kalahari is not quite the paradise it appears. Every change in the environment heralds a change in fortune. And every silver lining has a cloud. The summer downpours have resulted in an eruption of tall sour grass across the entire manor, which, when you're less than 30 centimeters tall, makes it extremely difficult to see or be seen. At the Hakuna Matata burrow, it's not just the height of the grass that is proving to be an irritation. The sap is causing eye infections and itchy sores on everyone's skin. Akida is finding lookout duty particularly uncomfortable at a time when sharp eyes are needed more than ever. Who knows what could be lurking in all this? It's a big worry for Flint, whose pups Og, Weatherwax, Grebo and Havelock are still vulnerable. And who now has another even younger litter who are too small to leave the burrow. Finnick stands dutifully by her, having now fully embraced his role as responsible father. The downside to this baby boom is that with newborns underground, the family is effectively trapped at this overgrown burrow for another 2 weeks at least. Centa is doing most of the babysitting, assisted by Munchkin, who has suddenly taken to throwing her weight around. And it's some weight. Her large belly reveals that she's been courted by a rover. And there's no hiding the consequences of their tryst. Flint's already kicked her out once. She's been allowed home to help care for the leader's newborns, now that she is no longer a threat to them. But she's living on a knife edge. and she knows it. So she's sucking up big time. The problem is, her incessant grooming and caressing is just becoming another irritation to Flint. The tall grass is causing similar problems for the Whiskers. The difference is Swift's youngest pups, Wolf, Bronte and Wild, are 7 weeks old and well on their way to independence. The trio are bigger than most pups their age, thanks to the banquet of bugs triggered by the summer rains. In fact, there are round bellies everywhere you look. The pups are now old enough to move with the rest of the family, so Swift can lead them to a better place to stay, if they can find their way to it. Young Lupin keeps lookout for approaching danger. And he's not the only one. A lark panics at the sight of a pack of predators. The flustered parent is protecting a chick somewhere on the ground. It would make a good meal for someone, but it could be anywhere. The second parent hits the panic button, seemingly offering a clue to the location of its young. The clever lark is a decoy to lure the Whiskers away from the chick. The deception outsmarts Hatchie, but unfortunately the tactic didn't work on Laker, who's already tucking in to her chick meal for one. Whiskers 1, Larks 0. Predators come in many guises. Swift would do well to remember that as she leads her family on. Meanwhile, unable to venture far from their burrow, the Hakuna Matata are heading up to a nearby dune to get out of the grass. Finnick is first to reach the top. His view across the manor is now very different from the bleak dust bowl the family has had to endure for so much of the year. But this high point doesn't offer the safe foraging they were hoping for. The wind up here makes it hard to hear predators. Exposed in the open, it would be all too easy for a raptor to strike. Perhaps this wasn't such a good idea after all. Back at the burrow, his roving adventures curtailed by the long grass, young Girk is patiently helping his aunties babysit the new kids. He's been stuck at home for days. Beneath him, in the network of underground tunnels, something is stirring. It's Flint's new litter. The 5 tiny pups stumble their way towards the entrance, accompanied by Centa. First to appear is Seymour, then Yasha, Mooncake, Reef, and May. The 3 boys and 2 girls have emerged several days earlier than expected. They're far too young to leave the safety of the burrow, but Centa isn't concerned. She gently encourages them to suckle. Munchkin can't provide milk while she's pregnant, so she keeps guard instead. She can't afford anything to go wrong. If she gets kicked out, she will very likely miscarry her own pups. With feeding time over, the kids start to find their feet. But their innocent play is about to be rudely interrupted. Still agitated from his experience on the dune, Finnick is horrified to see his pups in the open and leaps into action. But instead of shepherding them back into the safety of the burrow, he does the unthinkable and starts moving them away. What is he doing? Reef and Seymour are now out in the open, away from the burrow, and no one seems to know what to do. Over in Whiskers territory, keeping everyone together is proving just as nerve-wracking for Swift as she searches for a burrow free of sour grass. The difference is her organized move could be about to pay off. Finally, the grass recedes, and Swift's plan is revealed. The cattle pen. The birthplace of Rollo, Ragnar, and Floki. What a sight for sore eyes. And an ingenious move on Swift's part. Grazed and trampled by their old neighbours, the grass is not a problem here. And the old place still has all the welcome features that made it such a good family home earlier in the year. But as the Whiskers get down to burrow renovations, they don't notice that a new neighbour has moved in. Swift's nemesis. But this one has its eye on higher prey. Much higher prey. Like the larks, the sparrow weavers become increasingly flustered. A sure sign their nest contains offspring. With no thought for their own safety, the parents try to mob the invader, but their frantic efforts are futile. Whatever life is in the nest is ruthlessly snuffed out. It's a bad day to be a bird. Swift won't tolerate such a deadly neighbor. So the Whiskers' quest for a safe home continues. What should be a safe home is proving to be anything but for the latest Hakuna Matata brood. And it's all down to their dad. Finnick's left Reef and Seymour out in the open, and is now systematically removing the rest from the safety of the burrow. Yasha is next. Everyone's thrown into confusion as he heads back for another. He seems to think they're at risk and need to be moved to safety. But leaving them out in the open like this is anything but safe. It's crazy. Mooncake is the fourth to be abandoned. Finnick doesn't appear to have a plan at all. Munchkin watches helplessly. There's nothing she can do. Finnick has rank on his side. Finally, Dad responds to Mooncake's cries for help. He seems to have changed his mind and now wants to return her to the burrow. But what about the others? Girk retrieves Yasha, but seems unsure if he's done the right thing. In the end, it's Centa who steps in. Leaving her post at the burrow to gently chaperone Yasha back towards safety. Just as Flint appears. One by one, she gathers them up. Starting with Reef, then Yasha. Finnick sheepishly offers up Mooncake and is reprimanded. But there's still one missing. Where's Seymour? All pups accounted for. Woe betide Finnick if he pulls that stunt again. Munchkin anxiously tries to make amends. This happened on her watch. And no amount of groveling is going to change that fact. It's been a long day for everyone. The Whiskers have been traveling for hours, but they still haven't found the perfect burrow. Wary of concealed dangers, Swift keeps stopping to check what lies ahead. This vantage point offers a decent view. But something closer catches her eye. How strange. A grasshopper impaled on a branch. How did it get into this position? A shrike, also known as the butcher bird, was planning to eat it later. But you snooze, you lose. That's now Whiskers 2, birds 0. Swift's view from the fallen tree revealed more than a bite to eat. She now knows exactly where she's taking them. Of course, the water tank. The home that served them so well in the past. Especially when Hatchie, Laker and Fly were small. The benefits are obvious. The surroundings are lush, but not overwhelming. And the water tank is like a fortress. With a reinforced bunker and protected sentry positions, which Lupin seems more than happy with. Yes, this will do nicely. But as the Whiskers settle down in their old home, some members of the family are carrying a secret. One that cannot be hidden for much longer. And one which owes less to the abundance of food brought by the rains than it does to the persistence of rovers. Swift's tolerance of her daughters is about to be tested once more.